This is Infection, the survival podcast recorded live on Tuesday, November 14th, 2017, episode 148. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Infection, the survival podcast. Infection is your source for the latest information on survival video games. We bring you the latest news, reviews, updates, and more each and every week. My name is Nick Craig. At Nicholas M. Craig is my Twitter. InfectionPodcast.com is the website. Joining me as he does each and every week from the lovely state of Idaho. Hey, Brian, how are you?
Hey everybody, if you want to find me at Boise Computer on Twitter, you're more than welcome to go check out my blog, biteoftech.com, if you want to go see some nerdy postings that I do. Also, make sure you go to our website, infectionpodcast.com, and if you're looking to join our Discord, maybe play some games throughout the week. We do a lot of just chatting and joking around throughout the week. So if you want to join on that, on the right-hand side, it says Join Server. It's a little green button, and that will connect you right into our Discord server. Also, we have a link over there for our YouTube, where to find us on Twitch, our Twitter account, all the different podcast links, depending on what kind of platform or app you're going to be using. So all of that's on the website, easy to find, infectionpodcast.com. Also, all our show notes. So if you just go to the episode that you're looking for show notes for, you can view the videos on those pages, listen to just the audio, or look through all the links and maybe watch individual things that we reference. We have videos and links to external websites that we reference during the show. So I would encourage you to do that.
Oh, absolutely.
So
how are you, Brian?
What do we want to do? We want to jump in? Do we have anything we want to talk about first?
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff. You've got some hold on. You've got some, hold on. Brian, let's go to you for a special report. Hey, Brian, how are you? You got breaking news.
Good. Yes. So we officially have ordered our server.
Yeah.
And it is actually shipped and on the way.
It's already shipped?
I think it's on the way. Yeah, I've got a tracking number and it's already,
wow,
I think, in the mail. And I'm pretty sure that
being drop shipped, of course.
I mean, they've got down the weight in there.
How much does it weigh?
It should be here 1 week from today. It's like 60 something pounds.
That's nice.
Yeah. So it should be here on Tuesday, from what I can tell. That's the estimated tracking date.
Okay, so that means that the servers are all going to be up Monday night, correct? If it comes Tuesday, just to clarify.
Oh yeah, is that at midnight?
Yes.
Yeah.
The servers need to be up. Yeah, servers need to be up.
That's how it works.
So
it'll take me up. So hopefully I'll have it up by Friday.
Yeah. So
as far as Tuesday, I'll put the OS on it, get it down there, test it a little bit, and it should be good to go by Friday.
So what we'll do sometime between this week and next week's show is we're going to release we'll probably do a Google form where you can submit entries, and we'll probably we'll have a list of game servers, and we'll pick the top 3 or 4. So sometime between this week and next week, and we'll tweet that out on our Twitter at InfectionCast. We'll just say, hey, these are the possible game servers. We're going to pick 3 to, get it started. Which ones would you like? So,
and the one thing I'm wondering is I've got Windows Server licenses, but should I just throw like a Windows 10 VM on there? I'm trying to think of anything should run on Windows 10 VM, rather than putting a Windows Server license on there.
Windows Server is awful. Don't do that.
So I'll just throw a lightweight Windows 10 VM on there, and then if we have some Windows games, so you can refer Windows or Linux games, and they'll just have a VM that we can spin up and use whenever we want to use Windows.
Yeah, so that'll be really good. So give us some more flexibility, maybe for the game nights to do, maybe some obscure isn't the right word, but maybe control the environment a little bit better ourselves. And then at the same token, we will also have full-time servers that we'll be promoting, and it's not going to be just kind of a fly-by-night thing like it is right now, where it's just kind of servers up for a while, and then once people stop playing, it shuts off. These will probably stay up permanently. Yeah. As permanent as
people will come and go, but we should have enough room. So actually, I was going to mention what we got, because I had something in mind. I was like, I'll see if I can find something. So I was able to get, it's a dual 6-core. So it's 12 cores total. It's got 128 gigabytes of RAM. So each of the cores 3.33 gigahertz. So I pretty much said I want to find something with the most cores and the highest gigahertz that it can with 128 gigs of RAM. This is what I came across. So it was pretty close in our price range. Nick and I are pitching out a little bit out of pocket as well. But it puts it right about there. And I ordered a new like 300 gigabyte SAS drive for it just to put in there.
SAS or
because it was
SATA?
really cheap on SAS.
Oh, okay.
So this is it's the 10,000 RPM, 6
Gotcha.
gigabits per second, like server drive that you can hot swap in there. So yeah, so that should be on its way. And that'll be good because it's got enough memory we can play around and not worry about things conflicting with each other. And it's got enough cores to where we should be good on whatever we want to run.
Yes, sir. So that we'll expect that in the next couple of weeks here to be up and running, and we'll have a couple servers online. We'll do like a little launch thing. Yep, we'll do the Forest. I'm sure we'll have a
I think the Forest might be one of the first ones we do because that's one that I think we've really wanted to try, but we haven't had the opportunity. But I think we could have some fun with the Forest.
Yeah, also, like, there'll probably be a permanent Minecraft server that'll be running, because Minecraft, I mean, that can just kind of run in the background as long as nobody's on it. Doesn't use a whole bunch of resources. So we'll have a couple permanent servers, like maybe some
what we can do is throw some stuff on there so people can't grief.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll throw some stuff on so it can be long-term to where when you come back, like, your stuff's not all gone.
Exactly.
You know, and some kid came in and destroyed it all. So
yeah. So we will we'll announce that here in the next couple of weeks. We'll announce when it's all set up and ready to go. Expect that Google form sometime between this week and next week's show, maybe later. But look for that on Twitter, and then we'll announce it and promote it on next week's show. So again, thanks to everybody that made the server fun possible. And
yes,
ideally, this is kind of a teaser. We'll be coming back at you here in a couple of months, as we are, at least at this point, planning on heading out to PAX West 2018, which will be in July or August of next year.
Yeah, the summer of next year.
So that's what we're looking at right now, but we'll figure it out. So again, thanks to everybody that made.
So if any
possible.
of you were planning on going to a PAX, think about West.
Yeah, if I mean, obviously the big draw. I mean, here's the thing: Sony's there, Nintendo is there, Twitch is there. All these games are there, but the real draw. I mean, Mass Effect Andromeda is there, as everybody knows, it's the greatest game ever made. No Man's Sky is going to be there. Star Citizen, all those great, solid games that have all been released in full form are going to be there. But on top of that, the Infection podcast might be there. Those guys will all be there. We may be there. So just
So make sure you buy your tickets and spend all your money now.
Yeah, plan accordingly.
And that'll be in Seattle.
Yes.
There'll be a lot less snow in Seattle than there was in Boston.
There was no snow. Didn't snow.
What are you talking about in Boston?
Did it snow?
It snowed. Remember the burger company, Boston Burger Company?
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. It was like a goddamn snowstorm. Yeah, that was fantastic.
Yeah.
Totally forgot about that.
I didn't have a thick coat on it. Like I had a coat on. It was freezing.
I totally forgot about that. Yeah, there was literally a blizzard one of the nights that we were in Boston. Yeah, that was great. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah. So
a lot of fun.
So one thing, in Seattle in July, there will be no snow.
Yeah, it'll just rain and be gloomy all day. You want to jump off a building.
Bring a rain jacket.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So we got that. And then we can announce Game of the Week, Brian. This is a game that you are quite a fan of.
Yeah, so Heroes and Generals will be the game of the week this week. This is a free-to-play game. It's a lot of fun. It's pretty much the poor man's Call of Duty, I guess you could say. I mean, right? It's probably the closest thing Call of Duty.
I've never played it, to be honest with you. I will jump on it this Friday.
You've never played Heroes and Generals?
No, I've purposely missed it every time.
No, it's like a poor man's Call of Duty.
Well, if you would have described it like that in the past, I would have played.
Oh, okay. It's a war game where you run around with guns and you shoot people.
That's my game.
World War II era guns.
Yeah, I hear Heroes and Generals. I'm thinking of some stupid MOBA. I don't know.
No, it's like the new Call of Duty. I mean, it feels very much like it.
I will absolutely be
there. It's
the
closest to free to play you can do for that. So Heroes and Generals, it's a lot of fun. And we'll be doing that. Make sure you get it installed and load it up, test it. The only thing that you have to get used to a little bit is how to spawn in. So you may want to, before you join us, spend about 15-20 minutes playing just so you can get used to how you spawn into the game and the different map points that you can spawn in on. Other than that, once you get that down, it's a pretty easy game. As it's a teaser, I think next week we're going to be doing Rocket League. So this week's going to be a free to play game. So if you're choosing between this week and next week, and you don't have Rocket League, you may want to consider doing Heroes and Generals. So
Absolutely.
that will be 8 p.m. Eastern, 1 hour earlier than usual to accommodate our foreign friends.
Yeah, so that's our new time that we're doing the game night, and so far it seems to be working out quite well. Everybody, we had decent turnout last week. We'll get into that in a minute, but yeah, our new time, 8 p.m. Eastern, puts it right about 5 o'clock on the West Coast and wherever else you may be. I don't know, but 8 o'clock Eastern. So yeah,
Yep.
join us for that. Let's
All right. So do you want to discuss game of the week last week?
Yeah, I mean, let's put the lower third on. I mean,
All right,
where
so
do we
we all
okay,
met-
hold on. Stop the show.
Yep.
Stop the show. Before we get into anything, and this is a prerequisite, and it also a profanity warning. There may be some profanity laced rants in here. I'll try my best. We love H1Z1. We love the concept. We love the idea. That's why we're still here doing this podcast. This game is still, I still want this game, the games, both of the games, to strive, to succeed, to be the best that they can. Just to air that out there beforehand. That's a prerequisite. Go ahead, Brian. Take it from here.
All right. So we all logged in. We all started playing about 8 o'clock.
Yep. Early, actually.
And
I was there 7:30.
yeah, I was a few minutes late. So you guys had managed, I think, to get 2 games in before I was there. And everything went just downhill at that moment that I showed up. And I went to log in. I was able to actually get into 2 games. But the problem is I couldn't see any group markers on a single person on either of the games. And so I couldn't tell where you guys were. I couldn't see anybody. And I just ran around and then eventually just died.
One of the
here and
games you
there.
didn't spawn in on.
Yeah. Well, the first one, yeah, I didn't spawn in at all for the first one. And then I was able to get into 2 of the games after that with no group markers. And then I was never able to get into a single game after that. So this is what I was seeing. And actually the thing is everyone else had died. They'd landed and died. And I sat here at this screen. Well, I was seeing a loading screen. I was seeing the Running Man screen.
This
you guys
is me.
were
Spectating you.
seeing me. You were spectating me. I was in the air. And I lived, I think I made it to 14th.
Yes, you did. Until the gas
If I
killed
remember
you.
correctly. The gas killed me at 14th. And so we placed, that's my record right now on the top 10 is making it to 14th on the squad since I haven't played it in so long.
Yeah, congratulations. Quite an
So,
achievement.
Yeah. And so that's the thing is it, yeah, we didn't really have a game of the week because we couldn't all get into a game. So Nick decided, so we gave it one last try. We all hit the queue. And Nick was in queue for 1 hour before we finally gave up.
60 minutes.
60 minutes,
2 seconds.
2 seconds.
And queue
And
time.
I think that's the point where we finally gave up on trying to get into the game.
The average queue time was 9 seconds. And some of you may say, well, that was a fluke. You should have quit out after couple minutes.
We tried 3 or 4 times.
This was the 4th time after we let it run for 4 or 5 minutes at a time before. So we let it run for like 3 or 4 minutes. It didn't bring us in again. Queue time was 9 seconds. So we backed out, did it again, 3, 4, 5 minutes, backed out, did it again, 3, 4, 5 minutes. And then this time I just sat in the game for 60 minutes, a full hour. We sat in the queue and it never loaded any of us into the game. So the game of the week.
So that was our game night.
Was an I have never I was
That was
really
our
looking
worst.
I was really I'm being as genuine as I can be right here. I'm not trying to be a smart ass. I'm not trying to be condescending. I genuinely wanted to play H1Z1. It has been eons since I've played the game.
Yeah.
Genuinely wanted to jump in and see what it was like. And we played I think we got through 4 games and we died instantly in all of them. I mean, we just instantly killed by within the first 5 minutes of being in every game. So we were logged in for a good hour and a half. got 4 games in, sat in a queue for actually probably closer to 2 hours because this queue was an hour long. And during this time, we were just all complaining about how bad the game is and kind of just talking on Discord. That's what it turned. It just turned into everybody hanging out and having a good time. Is what it is. Honestly,
yeah. I mean, we had fun talking, but the thing is we played
Nothing.
very, very little H1Z1, and it wasn't because we didn't want to. Like, we were trying. There wasn't a single time that we loaded in that it actually worked.
60 minutes.
Not a single time.
I mean, are you kidding me? What kind of checks and balances are in place for this game that you can sit in the queue for 60 freaking minutes and nothing happens? This counter would have run. I wish I would have left this running on my computer all night, because I would have guaranteed you this game would have ran until the computer ran out of memory. This would have run. No. This timer would have run all freaking night. The digits probably would have started running over into the word elapsed, if I had to guess. That was our experience with H1Z1 this week.
So that was, and that's the thing is, I was actually thinking about it today, and like the thing is I don't hate the company. As you said, I don't hate the company. I don't hate the game, but I'm incredibly disappointed at what the game has become. And this game at this point is unplayable. I mean, I don't know how you could say it's not unplayable, because all of us, you can't say that all of our computers were messed up, that there's something wrong with all of our, we had 4 people all trying to queue in at the same time on this. And it wasn't us, I'm pretty sure. And we were all having different errors. And that's the crazy thing. I was getting the weird screens on login. Yeah, it was all different stuff, and it just wasn't consistent, and just became an unplayable night. And so I don't know, unless something gets fixed, I don't know that we can even really make it game of the week again.
I'm not playing
unless
it again.
We can test it. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not playing this. I have zero reason, zero enthusiasm, zero drive to even contemplate playing H1Z1 anytime soon. I mean, I made sure that I was here Friday night because I really, and I'm not trying to sound like a jerk here, because I genuinely wanted to jump into the game so I could talk about it on the show. So I could say, hey, we played it this week. I saw this change, that change. We tried. We did all we could. I sat in queue for over 60 minutes waiting for the game to load, and it never did.
Yep.
How am I supposed to evaluate and play this game if I can't load into it? And I guarantee you this is not an isolated issue.
Yeah, we can't be the only ones running into this happening. I mean, I have a feeling that this is, and this could be a huge reason why people are stopping playing it. I mean, if it's this inconsistent all the time, they're trying to figure out why people stop playing their game. Well, maybe it's because they can't load into the game, because you can't, in a 5-man, have a nice fun time with your friends hanging out and playing games, because it doesn't load ever. I don't know. Like, I just don't get, I don't get how this isn't brought up. I keep hearing people, I kept seeing people on Reddit say, fix the running man, fix the running man. And I didn't really realize what they were saying, like why they kept on being so persistent. I figured it was a once in a while thing, but there's probably people that are running into this all the time that have given up on playing the game because it never loads in. And then they go through and they make these patch notes, and they never fix the actual issue that's not letting players even play their game. I mean, they'll go through and do balancing and stuff like that. Well, if I were looking at a game like this where it had hundreds of thousands of people playing it, right? I would take a look at that game and say, all right, how about we make sure that everyone who wants to play it can actually load the game first? I mean, that would be priority 1. That if people want to play the game, they have the ability to. Then if they don't choose to, okay, that's whatever. But at this point right now, people can't even play the game, and it's not them not wanting to. Like, it just doesn't work. I can't even. I can't even begin to comprehend what needs to be done to fix these games. I honest to God, and I'm not. I said with the prerequisite, I'm not trying to be a pompous a-hole. I'm just
I'm trying to be genuine here. I can't even. Where do you start when you can't even? How do you fix issues in game when me as a player can't even get into the game to experience the issues that may be in the game? I mean, this is crazy. This is Friday night, prime time.
This should be the peak time that people are playing, and it's not like it's their all-time high. It's not like they're peaked out on players. They've handled a lot more players than this in the past. So it's not because everybody was playing it that it wasn't working. It just wasn't working. It was the client not working. And they didn't put out any tweets saying it's not working right now. Like there was no. It's just, I think this is just in general. It's just really buggy and inconsistent.
I just don't know.
Us, just something about it didn't work.
I just don't know what else to say, or do, or I mean, Brian, it's almost kind of. Is it even worth us talking about the game at all anymore? I mean,
well, after Friday night, I just I was feeling to myself, I'm like, this is a joke.
It's a total joke.
How is this? Yeah, the game is a joke. And the company has, I mean, it's got to be ashamed. Like I've talked about in the past, like I can't even imagine how people that work for that company feel like when you don't have the say to make a change. Like when you're sitting there, all you can do is work on it, do your part, and you don't have the ability to turn around and say, hey, the game's broken and it doesn't work. Like I think there's just some mentality going on at that company. Because at some point how does someone not stood up yet and said something is wrong? Like the game doesn't work. Like, let's fix this. I mean, some manager somewhere, I look at Adam Clegg and it's like, he's supposedly a senior, whatever over there now, right? Senior,
He's a senior game developer.
And he jokes around about people, he's senior game developer. And he jokes around about everybody saying, fix your game. Well, honestly, fix your game. I mean, it's incredibly broken. It doesn't even work. You don't worry about making money off of crates. If people can't load it in the game, they're not going to buy your stupid crates. The game is done. I mean, just at this point, unless they turn around and say, all right, we have found major bugs in our client. We have fixed our client and it's launchable now. Come and give it a try. But I think at this point, like, it's like the Emperor, the story where the Emperor has no clothes. And the little boy sitting there pointing at the Emperor saying he has no clothes, but everyone around there looks at him and they don't want to say to the king, hey, you don't have any clothes on. Cause so they just go along with everyone else saying, oh yeah, the game's great. It works. But I feel like sometimes we're the Emperor, the kids looking at the Emperor saying, look, they have no clothes. Like what's wrong with this place? There's something, they're broken.
It's an alternate universe.
And everyone else,
they're literally living in an alternate universe.
Sometimes I was like, how is nobody else saying this? Like it's incredibly broken and we're the odd ones for pointing it out. It just makes no sense to me.
Well, and that's all we're doing. I mean, if you're listening to this right now, we're not bashing the game. I'm strictly pointing. Brian and I are strictly pointing out facts. The fact is, the game doesn't work. I mean, fact is, I sat in a queue for over 60 minutes. Fact is, every time Brian played, none of the teammates' outlines showed up. Even when I was spectating him, the outlines of our other teammates were not showing up. Fact is, there was all
I couldn't
these
even find you guys to even start a game up. I didn't know where you were at on the map. I didn't know where to run to.
You have to look at the map.
Run towards gunfire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, all we're doing is making an observation. I would love to hear how Daybreak would handle some of these things. I mean, there's not a chance they would ever come on this program again. But it's just, I mean, how do you talk? What do you say to the community? What does Daybreak say to players like you and I that went out of our way to try and play the game? I tried to play it with an open mind. I'm not going to speak for you, Brian. I'm going to speak for myself. I went out of my way to try and play with an open mind. I couldn't even get into the game. Yep. What would they say to me? What in the hell kind of cockamamie excuse can they say? What can they mutter to me? I mean, what do you even say?
It's not like they've made major changes recently. They haven't gone and made, like they haven't changed out the map or done anything crazy to where, okay, there's a period of instability. Like this is just normal everyday time. They're doing the normal patches. We just happened to come in on a normal everyday. Like we didn't come in there looking for something being broken. We didn't come on a day we thought there might be instability in the system. We just came on a Friday night to play, and this is what we ran into.
And Lance is saying they would tell me they're going to start working on it first thing Monday morning, which of course is
when we get in the office.
Yeah, when we get back to the office,
we'll be looking at that first thing Monday morning.
It's alpha, bro.
But the thing is I've seen for months and months and months people saying, "Fix the running man, fix the running man." So there's a lot of people, because it's the loading screen where you just see a little running man in the corner.
Yeah,
that's it. It stays there.
Now I'll just ask you this publicly, Brian. Do you think it's worth us? We're trying to reach out to them. I mean, do you think they'd have any interest in coming on here?
No, because it'd be the same as us making a Reddit post. And okay, so here's the thing: is I posted on Reddit when there was the 2-man lobby. I think we talked about this last week.
Yes.
When I was in, because I had mentioned 2 weeks ago, I had mentioned the fact that I watched the Humble Bundle stream, and there were 15 people during the day in that lobby. And I thought, that's kind of strange that the West Coast could only get 15 people total, and that was including the Humble Bundle person to get into a lobby, and then it launched. And so I said, all right, the next day I'm going to go in and I'm going to try and see what the lobbies are like. And there was me and one other person in the lobby, and the game started. And then we got to the very end, and they beat me.
You lost a 1v1.
I mean, yeah. And so that's the thing, is a 2-man lobby during the middle of the day, West Coast, is a really bad sign. And that has to show people are not playing the game. They were on a huge peak at some point saying, look at all these people playing the game. Look at all these people playing the game. Huge numbers. Well, on the West Coast, they can't even fill a lobby. That's the whole West Coast. That's the whole west half of the United States.
Yeah,
there's East Coast, there's West Coast.
When I think the West Coast,
if I hadn't showed up, how would that guy ever play? there would have been no person in the lobby. I wouldn't have shown up.
You did a great public service to that gentleman. You did. You showed up and you let him kill you.
In a game
and won.
In one day.
When I think of West Coast, I think everything west of Oklahoma. That's the West. That is the West Coast.
Yep. And that's how I view, that's one of those the emperor has no clothes moments. When I pointed out almost everybody was from China on Reddit, that was an emperor has no clothes moment, where I pointed out and no one else was saying it. I'm just looking at look, these are all people from another country. They're not even in your zones. And it's very obvious now, because they can't fill a West Coast lobby. They can't fill, like Joe's saying, an Australian lobby. It has to be that pretty much every single player has got to be in China if they can't even fill one lobby.
Yeah, and
for the whole West Coast, for all of Australia, they can't fill a lobby. And that means there's less than 100 players.
100%
in each of those zones.
Yeah, absolutely. And to just kind of add insult to injury with this, the scoreboards still say coming soon. It's just a joke. It's just a total. What are some of these? I don't want to generalize the entire company, because there are people, for example, the art directors and the art team. Those people are actually working on stuff every day, and you see those new things come into the game.
But he doesn't work there anymore.
No, but I'm just saying art in general. There's a whole bunch of people that do art. Those people are working on a whole bunch of stuff throughout the day. But there has to be a chunk of this company that doesn't do a damn thing all day. Because look at the result.
Drink out of the kegerator.
Yeah. And again, I'm not trying to come off like a jerk, but how can this state of this game be so bad after this long, with two entire development teams? One team just dedicated to H1Z1 King of the Kill, and then the other team dedicated to Just Survive. How is it possible that these things are still happening?
Yeah.
Just seems impossible to me.
And if you take a look, look at ARC's development team, which is much smaller, right? From what I gather. Daybreak doesn't really talk about it, but they act like they're a fairly decent sized company. From what I can gather, they claim to be a bigger company than what Wildcard is, right? They kind of put off Wildcard as a small company. I don't know how many people are actually working at Daybreak anymore, but I would say that if you look at the progress and the things that are actually accomplished, Wildcard does at least 10 times more than what that whole company at Daybreak's doing.
Absolutely.
As far as progress. I mean, look at the dinosaurs and all the props and everything that they're creating versus Daybreak will put out some skins, and most of them are reskins of existing assets. And then, you know, they'll put out maybe a new asset with a different shape every once in a while. And then they'll put out about 10 to 15 skins based on that, you know, that shape. And so there's a lot of repetitive skinning that they're doing. And that isn't a huge amount of time. It doesn't take a huge amount of time to do that. So that's where I wonder, like, where are all these resources going? You know, what, you don't see a lot of new buildings. You don't see a lot of new assets, a lot of new things in the world. And the things that you see, that's not like super creative. I mean, we look at Miscreated and look at all that creativity that goes into that in the world. And just, you go there and you see all these cool new things. I mean, do you see that in H1Z1? Have you ever run around and say, oh, that's something really unique? Like, that's cool.
Yeah.
In H1Z1, have you ever seen that?
I've seen the queue time. That's pretty cool.
Well, that's pretty much it.
No, I mean, you know what? I mean, when we loaded in, when we actually played, I think it was the first or second game. The UI is kind of, the map is cool that you can now zoom in on the map and you see everybody's little dots on the map. That's cool. There's some cool stuff in there, but unfortunately, all of the cool stuff, doesn't matter how much cool stuff they have, it's trumped.
All cosmetic.
But I'm just saying, all the cool stuff, you could have the coolest stuff in the world of the game. It's all trumped by the fact that you can't even load into the game. It doesn't matter. Yeah. They could be giving away free money inside the game. If I'm sitting in a queue and it's not going, it doesn't matter. It's like, for example, it's like me trying to play a game on Steam and my internet is down. Steam's not going to open. Doesn't matter what Steam is doing. I've got my freaking Ethernet cable unplugged from my computer. It doesn't matter what Steam does. Never going to see it. It's never going to work. Yeah. And it's the same. I feel the exact same way about H1Z1. They could have the most polished, cool game with great features, awesome community. If there are still basic issues, like not being able to load into the game, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter one bit. Yeah. If Battlegrounds had this issue, nobody would be playing the game. How many times have you sat in fake queues in Battlegrounds, Brian? How many times?
I don't know. I can't remember any.
Exactly. It may happen.
Every time I think every time I've tried to load into Battlegrounds, there may be a delay, but like, it always loads.
There's a delay, absolutely. But guess what? Overwatch has queue issues from time to time. But guess what? It doesn't happen all the time. It happens once. You cancel out of the queue, you go back in, and it instantly shoots you into the game. I understand technology. I understand that programming things is not always, you can't always account for every single thing that's going to happen. There are dynamic variables that are changing constantly. I'm not expecting a perfect product. Blizzard and Activision with Overwatch do not have a perfect product. Brian and I have been playing the living hell out of Call of Duty. That is not a perfect product. Yeah. It has issues. But it's not every game. It happens from time to time. It sucks. You get over it. You try again. But at least there's an error. You would think after 60 minutes in the queue, I mean, how about 20 minutes? It just backs you out and then shoots you back in. How about a check for that? How about an exception for, wow, when the queue time reaches 60 minutes, let's throw this person back out to the lobby and re-queue them up.
And send a note to a log somewhere saying, hey, we've got people never getting into games. Like, there was never a point. We just closed out. To them, on their side, it probably just says, oh, somebody quit the queue.
Quit the queue.
They didn't bother trying to play.
I mean, we've had these issues. We've had a lot of issues with the Call of Duty party system. When you disconnect from the game, it says lost connection from host/server. Press X to continue. There's no guessing what the hell's going on. You've disconnected from the game. You press X, it shoots you back out to the home screen. You load back into multiplayer. You're all set. I understand technical things happen. But sitting in the queue for 60 minutes, and it wasn't just once. Sitting in the queue 3 or 4 times for many minutes with an average queue time of 9 seconds is unacceptable. Completely unacceptable. Yeah. I don't know, where do we go from here?
That's the thing that we ran into is, as I said, we're not trying to get a gotcha. We tried multiple times in different ways. We tried different
party hosts,
regions. We tried different people hosting it. We tried every possibility to make sure that this was not
us.
messing around or something wrong with us. We tried every way possible, and it did not work. There was not a way to get it to load. And I don't think we could have done anything else other than queuing solo. I mean, maybe it would have worked on solo.
Yeah, man, it probably would have. Probably would have worked on solo.
The thing is, the whole point of our game night is that we all play together.
Exactly.
And so that kind of defeats the purpose.
So I guess it just begs the question, is there any point in talking about this game? Is there any point in giving this game any coverage anymore? After what we experienced last week?
Can we jump? I have under H1Z1, I have humble feedback because I kind of mentioned this last week. And I just wanted to give an example of the different posts because there's hype on the internet. And I think that there's a lot of things that happen on the internet that marketing companies and different organizations can make you feel like everyone else is thinking this way or doing something, and you never really see the actual pulse of what people are feeling. And I think that I have found here something that gives an idea of what the actual pulse of the community is. And so if you take a look just at the Twitter feeds and you kind of scroll down, you can see here just the comments that people are making towards this game, saying, you know what, I am not going to subscribe anymore. I'm pausing. I'm canceling. I
love this.
People making comments
about
what they're seeing.
Okay, Humble, sell me on this. Why should I stay sub for a dead early access game and a pair of crates, especially when this month was bad? Their response: you can always pause your subscription. I mean, you talk about being sold. Yeah. And then he says, okay, I guess that's what I'll be doing. But you're not exactly ringing the endorsement. Yeah, exactly. We're not going to sell you, which that may be their policy with all questions like that on Twitter. But I mean, that's just not a very, like, hey, why would you watch our podcast? Hey, I'm not a fan of the Topic Less Fizzling podcast. Oh, okay, well, you can just close out of the browser and never watch again. I mean, It's an answer. It's not an answer I would like, though.
Yeah, and you got people asking, like, does this include H1Z1, Just Survive, and King of the Kill? No. I mean, those are separate games now. Just there. If you scroll down, it's pages and pages and pages. It's pretty much everything is thumbs down, frowny faces, negative comments, just saying, we don't want this game. And I feel like a lot of people have been told you're supposed to like this game. This is a popular game. This is a good game. But when it comes down to the community looking at it, you know what they're saying? This isn't. The same thing with the Facebook feed. I mean, just scroll down, and this was their announcement on Facebook. And it just says, it's just people saying negative comments about the game. Paused last month, paused this month.
What was last month? Because almost every one of the comments mentioned last month being paused.
That was the online.
The Elder Scrolls Online game?
The Elder Scrolls Online, yeah.
Interesting.
And so there are people who they're not into that type of game, and that's not like that's a bad game, but there's a lot of people that was a kind of a niche game, right? But this one is not a niche game. This is supposedly one of the most popular games that came out on Steam, and there's almost all negative comments on this. If you look, there's sad. So they had sad, like 70 something sad faces on it. 60 something people laughing at it, and then they got like 100 something thumbs ups for doing it on Facebook.
Did you give it a sad
But if you scroll through, no, I didn't do one. I did make a comment that this is the first Humble Bundle I've ever paused.
I did. I saw that comment.
And then people hear someone says this game has so many negative reviews that even a good review tells you to go buy PUBG instead, and it shows a link to someone giving it a positive review on Steam and then saying go buy PUBG.
That's great. That's great.
So I mean, it's insanity, and I think that this is really how it is, and no, they're just unwilling to talk about it, and people are unwilling to say it, that this game is actually dead. And I don't know how they can be looking at an investment company that owns this can be looking at this and saying anything positive. I don't know if people are just hiding the numbers, if they're not even telling their bosses the numbers. I mean, how can this be swept under the rug and not be a problem for them? How are they maintaining? Maybe they're not maintaining to keep people hired because, for instance, Sebastian, from what I can tell, I asked multiple times, where's Sebastian? Oh yeah, he's still here. Well, they have, on their help wanted, their joblet postings, they have his position as an open position. So I really don't think he's there anymore. So I think that is, yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And I think there's a couple of interesting things here. The first thing with the Humble Bundle is a lot of the comments reference this thing with IGN that, purchased by IGN, rip, ruined forever, and Brian made the point last week that, hey, maybe this was probably already set in stone. IGN did only acquire them, like, what was it, Brian? Like a month and a half? Yeah, like a couple months. So realistically, that's probably not the case. But
yeah,
who knows? I mean, who knows at this point? What are we left to do? What are we left to say?
I wonder how many people are actually still working there. I mean, how many people do you think are actually still working there?
I have no guess.
Because all these people left. All these people, there's tons of people who got fired, or I mean, from what I can tell, or they left. I mean, there's no word given. We let this person go or anything. But like a lot of the faces of people there's a couple of faces and a lot of newer faces that showed up within the past 6 months. And most of those people are community managers, or they seem like they're faces of the company, not people actually doing work. How many people are actually back there programming? I mean, maybe they've stripped the whole development company down to bare bones because they can tell it's not going to be making money.
Sebastian is apparently working at Amazon Game Studio now with Smedley.
He went with Smedley.
That's going to be there. I can't wait for their first product. That's going to be kick ass. Yeah. They got a whole lot of talent.
I look at the thing is, a lot of what we've been complaining about with H1Z1 is the loss of direction, the loss of vision, and how everything has just become so silly, cartoony. It was nothing like H1Z1 Just Survive, the original H1Z1. If you look at what we were shown with that, kind of a gritty survival game with zombies, it was perfect for the time, and there was a vision that Smedley had behind it. As soon as Smedley left, like, it turned into an arcadey, cartoony, just a ridiculous game with ridiculous skins. And I think that they realized, well, we're just going to get as much money out of this as we can while we can. And they did. But I think that there's a point where it just, now that they've gotten that money out, like, I don't think they'll be able to afford to keep people making the game, because you can't fund the game off of the few numbers that we were posting in Australia, in the West Coast, in the East Coast. Like, if you can't fill a lobby, there's not enough people in your game to be able to fund it.
One of the things that, and talking about this kind of this Amazon Game Studio thing, a couple of the things that, I guess the first thing would be, before we talk about that, talking about how much of an impact has this investment company had on the game. I mean, it's no surprise that things have gone a little bit downhill since an investment company purchased SOE and then turned it into Daybreak. I mean, that shouldn't be a surprise to anybody. And then the next question would be, this is the analogy I kind of think of when I go through this. It's like a football or a baseball team firing their head coach or their manager. And I think that's what happened with Smedley here, is they had their fearless leader, per se. They had their guy, their leader, Smedley, the head coach, the head coach, the manager, and they fired him and didn't replace him. And the rest of the team just kind of said, well, hey, I'm a quarterback. I don't know how to manage a running back. I'm a wide receiver. I don't know how to deal with an offensive lineman. It was this.
Well, yeah, they never brought on another visionary. I mean, it's like not bringing on the quarterback again. They pretty much lost their quarterback.
Your audio is pretty bad there, Brian. I don't know if you can reconnect for us, but it's just this really, really bad situation. It's just a bad situation that we're in. We've got a bunch of people that are supposed to be running a video game company, a game publishing company, a company that delivers video games to consumers. And we got nothing. We've got no leadership. We've got no direction. We've got no vision. So it's not a surprise that these games are a total flipping disaster. You're having the quarterback try to teach the lineman how to block. It's not going to work. It's never going to. The kicker is telling the wide receiver how to catch a football. Doesn't work like that.
Yep.
That's not how it works.
And so, and unless they, and I think that's the problem, is they don't have one person that can say no. There's nobody who can trump everyone else and say, you know what, that's a great idea, marketing department, but we're not going that direction. That's not what we're doing. And so they since they don't have the person to say no, whatever's going to make the most money at that exact moment is what wins. So
the chat's talking about this. At this point, I wish they would just take it offline. Honest to God, it seems like that is the solution to this, is just take the game offline and just figure out what do we need to do to get this to a playable state. And guess what? Failure is okay, ladies and gentlemen. Failing at something is not necessarily a bad thing. What is bad is being unable to recognize that you're failing. It's like the sitcom that runs 4 seasons to, like, I don't know if you watch The Office at all, Brian.
Yeah.
All the characters left. And they can, whoever published it, whoever makes the show, NBC, just continued to run this show. They didn't know when to stop. And I feel like it's kind of like that with Daybreak now. It's the sitcom that the director does, and the company does not know when to stop it. All of the actors have left. The concept of the show is gone. Or Gadlo's saying Scrubs, same thing. It completely changed. They didn't know when to kill it. It's okay saying that. I would just come out and say, our game is a disaster. We're taking it offline to come to a conclusion. Can we salvage the game, or do we just let it die? I would be okay with them just letting the game die if that was the determination.
Well, but the thing is Daybreak has turned into the company that holds on to dying games.
Yeah.
I talked about it last week. They've got Lord of the Rings Online, which you can't tell me is a fresh game. I mean, that is an incredibly outdated game. They have Dungeons and Dragons Online, incredibly. So when these other companies don't want to deal with the old technology and the old servers anymore, they hand it off now to Daybreak to manage old games.
Old hardware, old servers, yeah.
I mean, look at all the games that they have. Like, are just games that they're going to hold on to forever. They're not known for shutting down games. This is where games go to die. And the problem is they made a new game, but it's with a company that usually has games go where they die. And so I don't know what they can do, because they don't have the mentality of how can we make something new and fresh again. They have a mentality of let's just hold on to it and squeeze every last bit out of it, and we'll maintain it for as long as possible. I mean, the fact that EverQuest still runs and still has servers is just mind-boggling to me. I can still log in with my character I created in 1998 or 99. My character I created in 1999 is still there on their servers, which is insane to me. I can't even remember how to play the game. I tried to log in once. I was in the middle of nowhere, and I couldn't figure out how to do anything because I couldn't remember all the keyboard commands. But the fact that they're still running all that stuff, for what? That game was hot in 1999. That's 18 years ago, and they're still running those servers. So I don't think it's going anywhere. They're just going to have, the problem is when you have a game like this, you have to have other people to play with.
Yeah.
And it's not like EverQuest to where you can have 5 people running around and whatever. It's nostalgic. You can't on a game where it requires 100 people at least to come in and make it a real game. You can't have a game that just sits there and does nothing. But the problem is the only way they can do is have one server left and anybody in the world can log into that server. Well, what about lag? What about all these things? Like that doesn't work on this game anymore. I mean, it's not the game that's meant to do this. And I don't know how they're going to handle it. I mean, I wish they would open source their engine personally. I wish they would open source their clients and just let other people take them over. Take over EverQuest. I mean, do they view it as a moneymaker? It's never going to make money again.
Well, it's got to be.
Is this investment company?
It's got to be making money.
Who's putting money into EverQuest?
Well, I don't know, but somebody, Sirth in the chat is saying that you can purchase a monthly subscription to play EQ1, which is the original servers. I mean, here's the thing. I agree that they're in denial about what's going on, but if they were losing $100,000 a month on EverQuest, they would have shuttered it. They would have shuttered it and shut it down. Clearly, they are making some money on EverQuest. They're making money somewhere to subsidize the rest of these stupid games. I mean, they went through. Yeah. They completely developed a new. What was the name of that game they were supposed to release?
EverQuest Next.
Yeah, they almost completely finished that.
Yeah, and then they shut it down before they released it.
Almost completely finished the development of that game.
But that was on the new engine. I think they don't want it. They probably ran out of steam developing the engine itself. Because we've not seen Forge Light 2.
Yeah.
And that was supposed to be on Forge Light 2. I think they realized this is going to take too much money to maintain a new engine.
Wasn't there another game too?
And then
some building game?
Yeah, but that was all part of EverQuest Next.
Oh,
that was
but that was supposed to come out first, and then the EverQuest Next.
Well, they did. They released that and they shut that down. So that was supposed to test out their base building,
land,
test out everything. Yeah, and so they had taken that and were testing it. But then they never released EverQuest Next, which I loved the original EverQuest. I mean, that was my original experience with that style of game. It at the time was such a groundbreaking and just a fresh experience for me. Nothing like I'd ever experienced in a game before. I mean, this was when the internet was much smaller. I mean, in your mind, like the internet was much smaller and there was a lot less people on it. And so having a game where you could log in and go play with all these other people back in 1999, like that was pretty new. And it was a huge world, which was pretty new. I mean, computers weren't nearly as powerful. Games were a lot smaller. This was a big world. And you know, and for me, I still have my original box and disc for EverQuest. But the thing is, like, that's past, like that's nostalgia now. And I just don't, this company, like, they got to learn to let stuff go because I'm not looking to go back and play EverQuest 1. Like I appreciate what it was, but I don't want to go back and play it.
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
It
anyways, I don't even know. Like I just get frustrated with Daybreak and I don't see any sign that it's going to change.
No, neither do I. And I think that's
no hint that anything is going to turn around.
And that's where the frustration in my view comes from, is that I don't see the light at the end of the tunnel, which me I mean, I'm literally the definition of an enthusiast. I do a podcast about games like this. I'm the definition of an enthusiast, as you are, Brian. And I don't see the light at the end of the tunnel, which is really concerning to me. Very, very concerning to me, because it's like, well, what do I have to look forward to? PUBG, I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. I know where they're going. I know there's going to be.
And they said it.
Yeah,
they say, here's our schedule. We're going to release to 1.0 by the end of the year. How many promises have we heard with H1Z1, and how much rolling back and undoing change, what things they've done, starting over, and then just a total lack of communication to where we don't even know where they're trying to go from here. Like, can you even tell me where H1Z1 wants to be in 6 months?
No, and that's the problem. We have seen reversal after reversal after reversal after reversal of the plan, the concept, the idea, whatever it may be. It's just been, I mean, they are literally doing a 180 like every other day. It seems like trying to determine what the direction is, where the company's going to go with the game. I mean, You don't believe me? Case in point. Literally 3 weeks ago, they decided they're getting rid of the new map.
Yeah.
And they're going to replace it with a remake of the original map.
Yep.
And that's essentially what happened 3 weeks ago.
It's just 3 years into the development process.
Yeah, I mean,
right? It's been about 3 years.
I'm just trying to.
I think from when they first announced it.
Yeah, well, I mean, first announced it. I mean, yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure exactly, but I've got to wonder. I mean, Brian, I couldn't begin to guess where they're going to be in 6 months. I couldn't even begin to. I may be able to say that the game will be closed in 6 months. For all I know,
it's very possible. And the thing is like, at some point, if they don't improve their engine, like, it's going to stop working with Windows 10. I mean, there's got to be a point when Windows 10 drops DirectX 9 support. I mean, it's just that's the way tech works. Like, eventually DirectX 9 will be phased out.
Yeah.
And they'll only support like DirectX 10 plus, because there was a huge shift in what would happen and what it looked like with DirectX 10 and beyond. DirectX 11. There's going to be a point where they drop that. And what are they going to do? I mean, what they have nothing that's DirectX 11. They have nothing that's modern. Their engine doesn't support any of it. And so I'm just wondering, like, what would this company do because Windows 10 is now on this automatic update thing? What if Microsoft said 1 year from now, we are phasing out DirectX 9. Our next, creators update that we put out will no longer support DirectX 9. This whole company would be done. They don't have a product that would run still.
That's true.
And so, like, it's just, that's how non-forward thinking I feel like they are, to where the writing is on the wall, but they refuse to look up at it. And they think that maybe if they don't look at it, it's not going to happen. But the thing is, you just got to look up. Like, you're working on technology. It's been around for so many years, and yet you're making no strides to be able to be future proof, right? Future safe.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually they're going to be phased out. Maybe that's what they're counting on. Maybe they're like, well, we're just going to go until it runs out. And then, then we'll do something else. I don't even know what they're planning on, because that's a very, very real possibility. DirectX 9, I'd have to think when DirectX 9's have to have been around for 10 years, right?
Yeah, it's got to be pretty,
I mean, it's
got to be pretty close, yeah.
I mean, it's been out for a long, long time, and I'll look here, but
well, then I guess another.
But that technology is going to be dying. That it came out with Windows 95, and that was Windows in 1994 is when they released that.
So, I guess another part of my question would be, when does reality hit? And this is going to kind of, I mean, we're going to spend probably the majority. We've spent the majority of the show, and we probably will continue to spend a good chunk of the show talking about this, because it's a deeper conversation than just H1Z1 sucks. But at what point does somebody wake up and say, okay, we got a problem here. We either need to do that. I mean, at what point does reality set in? Does it ever?
Well, so, and this is the thing where I kind of mentioned before, the culture of the company. I don't know if someone feels like they can stand up and say, because if they have a really bad culture there, to where it's if you're not with us, you're against us type of mentality.
Mm-hmm.
You may have a culture where people can't stand up and say, hey, we have a problem here. We really should look at this. Or maybe when you stand up and say that, like, you get a lot of extra work, and it feels like a punishment for standing up and saying something. I can't imagine that the culture is good to where you have, because somebody would have said this by now, I would assume, that, hey, we have a huge problem. And I think Smedley was the type of person who would have said it, who would have said, all right, we need to be forward thinking, because H1Z1 at the time was forward thinking.
Yes.
Their engine was only 2 years old at the time. It was an outdated engine, but it was only 2 years old at the time. And I can't think of another person out there. I mean, Okay, here's one thing that happened. I saw a tweet today by, who's the guy who left and went to work for Twitch? And he used to work for them.
Wasn't
Weisenhunt, yeah.
Wasn't
Weisenhunt. So he made a comment that one of the reasons that he left that company is because he was getting so many threats from people. He was getting doxxed by people, threats from the community, and that it was just making his life unlivable.
Yeah.
And so that's one thing I want to encourage, people, just because you don't like what a company is doing doesn't mean you go after the employees individually. And I may disagree with certain employees. There's employees that if I saw them, I would be like, I probably have a little bit of animosity towards them, right? Just because like, I'm like, you're ruining a game that I loved. But there's no excuse to go turn around and attack the employees individually. Just say, I don't agree with the company, but that's one thing. We don't know what that company is like internally. There may be a lot of politics that make the culture of that company a situation where you can't stand up and say anything, because if you do, you're punished, you're ostracized. It could be a really bad environment like that. And so, there'd be maybe a lot of people there that just say, I want to keep my job. I want to not have to put up with being punished inside the company. And so that just, it makes this type of mentality where everything just keeps going forward, and it keeps going forward without improvement. And so I don't know. I think that there may be, if that's the situation, I don't know that there will be a point where anyone will stand up and say, you know what, we have to change direction, because there's a lot of changing direction. That's the problem. But there's not we're going to, and I remember a long time ago, I said something like, if you want to change the course of a ship, it doesn't flip on a dime. You don't just turn it and do a 180. You have to make gradual adjustments and start turning the ship. If you want to turn and go exactly west from where you're facing right now, you have to make adjustments and turn that ship to where then it's going that way. And they don't have one person who can keep going a consistent, let's turn, because they do it. Let's turn this way. Oh, now let's turn right. Oh, now let's turn left. And it's just we've got a zigzag for a company. Nothing is consistent enough. Everything is going every different direction to where then there's zero progress, and you've not made any improvement of actually going towards a goal, because there is no goal. It's just let's move towards whatever we feel like today. And that's what I gather. I mean, that's what I gather from them, just from seeing the tweets, seeing the patch notes, seeing the comments on Reddit, the things that are being said. There's no one direction of here's where we're going as a company. Here's our vision for the game. Here's what we want to see out of this. I've never heard that from them that I can remember anywhere since Smedley.
Yeah. No, I mean, you're spot on. I mean, you need, this is going to sound very cliche, but you need your fearless leader to be out there in front and be controlling controlling the army. You've got to have your leader, and there's no, and here's the thing. I understand that in company culture, it's very hard to just, switch what everybody is doing. Fortunately for them, they don't seem to have that problem. And I understand not wanting to get glued into doing things. Oh, well, we said we're going to do this, and now we have to stick to it, or the community is going to be upset, even though it won't be good for the game. I understand not falling into that, but there's a point where you just have to say, all right, we've got to follow something that we've said in the last 6 months. We've got to follow at least a couple of these things that we've mentioned. I understand not wanting to get, cornered into doing something that isn't good for the game or good for the company. But when every single thing that you say, Brian, if they said today that they were doing X, whatever it may be, I would believe it's BS until I see it.
Based on track record.
Yeah, absolutely based on track record.
Because the thing is we haven't seen, we've seen over these years that we've been doing the podcast where a big chunk of it was on this game purely.
Yeah. About 50.
We have seen a lot of promises.
Yeah, about a year's worth of shows.
Yep. We saw a lot of promises. We saw a lot of, here's what we want to do. Or here's what we're going to do. And most of those, a big chunk of those, never came to fruition. Like they mentioned it, kind of like throwing something against the wall to see what sticks. They mention it, but then it just never came to fruition. That's why even when they say we're going to be making a Z1 remaster, okay, I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah, exactly.
Really? You're going to? Okay, do it. Because you haven't even managed to make on Just Survive managed to make the map yet. And this map's not even done yet. The one that you're going to be replacing. So I think that for this, like their competition came into the field. Batchain Polar, he's bringing up, they were outplayed by PUBG. Competition came in that they were relying on, we're the only company that has this genre game and we're it, and that's going to make people buy it. Well, as soon as competition came into the field, these guys folded. They had nothing to stand up. There was nothing left. And I think that's the problem is they can't compete against other games in the genre because they're not willing to take a risk. They're not willing to be forward thinking. And that's why this whole thing that they're going to be doing with this competition, like really, where's that going to go?
Well, okay, so I agree with mostly what you just said, but then there's got to be, and Batchain Polar too. King of the Kill, yes, had somebody, another game, PUBG, come in and shake up the market, but there is still no competition for Just Survive.
No competition for Just Survive. I mean,
who's
Rust
competing?
Isn't the same.
Rust is not the same caliber game.
Ark isn't the same type of game.
Miscreated is it's not. They're just not. They're not the same. There really is still not a game like H1Z1 Just Survive on the market. So I understand the argument. And guess what? They would be smart. They'd be really smart to say, hey, PUBG's eating our lunch. We're not going to be able to compete with them. We're going to shut it down. That would make sense. And then
they almost should be going all in on Just Survive if
I would
they
think
want to
so.
keep alive. Like Just Survive doesn't have competition yet. Like there's still a chance with Just Survive. It seems like they're still going off a minimal team with Just Survive. Like they're not putting out enough progress. I mean, PUBG's putting out a whole new map in the same amount of in a much shorter amount of time. And a huge thing is the engine, though. Like the huge difference in the engine of what you can do.
There is 0% chance that they will compete with PUBG.
Yeah.
They
can't develop fast enough. They can't make it look as good. Like PUBG is starting to tweak and make things look better and better because, they're limited by resources as far as maybe even, people making things, but they're limited by, they want to try to make it as best performance with, and as they improve that performance, they're then going to keep raising the graphics and raising the quality of the assets to match. And so like H1Z1 cannot compete against that. Like they can't put anything out that looks better. That's one thing that frustrates me so much is when I go and play these other games, I turn around, I go back, we play H1Z1, and it just seems so blurry to me. Like everything seems so blurry. I feel like I just can't see anything. I'm looking at splotches and I was like, oh, that's a guy? That's a person coming at me? I can barely tell. It just, and especially when I couldn't see your outlines, I'm trying to find you guys. I'm like, oh, that's a guy coming at me. I couldn't even tell because of just the mess of the everything how it looks in the distance. And so I think that's a big problem. And as technology moves along and you see these other games, like they could never release this game onto a console. Remember they were talking about that?
I did talk about that.
How could you release this game onto a console? You're that far away from a TV and you're going to tell me you're going to try to see stuff at a distance on this game?
Yeah.
You can barely see it when your eyes are less than a foot away from your monitor.
Absolutely.
I don't see it happening. Like it's just not a game that would carry over well unless you put it. I mean, you can't even put it on a smaller system. Like I don't even know what you would do with it. All those things are out the window. This is one thing. Once again, that was a promise they made. It's going to be out on console. Really?
Yeah, they released
how many years ago was that?
Yeah, and I mean, we just had the guy at TwitchCon say that he's played it on the PS4, which is fine and dandy. But I mean, the fact is PUBG is going to be out on the Xbox before. How about this? And then we got to move on. How about this for a reality check? H1Z1 said that H1Z1 was going to be out on the console before PUBG was even out on PC. And PUBG is going to be out on the Xbox before H1Z1 is out on a console. How about that for perspective and reality? They released box art before March of this year, before PUBG was even published and playable. And PUBG is going to be out on console here in December. So just, I mean, just a little bit of perspective for everybody. And to wrap this up, to put a nice little bow on the top of it, H1Z1 sucks. The game is a disaster, and the development team doesn't have a clue what they're doing. And that, I mean, that's all I've got to. I don't have anything else to say about it.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. I mean, I don't know what else to say, but it.
GG.
After playing on Friday, it just cemented all the thoughts I was having previously.
Yeah.
It confirmed everything that we had been, you know, you may think that we kind of go off and maybe give them a harder time than we should. But that for me confirmed everything that I've been saying and Nick has been saying about this game for at least the last 6 months. Made it totally valid for me.
Oh, you know, I feel exactly.
And so I don't know. I know what, like, I don't feel bad about anything I've said because it is a train wreck, and it frustrates me. It makes me sad, but you know, I don't know. For me, that was kind of like the last straw of that game.
I would agree with that. I echo everything that you just said, 100%.
So. All right. So, do we want to announce the game giveaway here really quick?
Let's do some fun stuff. What are we giving away?
All right. So this will be exclamation point giveaway in chat. This will be a 30 points raffle, and we're going to be giving away a copy of Resident Evil 5 Gold Edition.
Oh.
And so the Resident Evil 5 is a action zombies co-op third-person shooter, and the gold edition, I have to see what it comes with. Probably comes with some DLCs or whatever, but the regular edition is $20. So actually this one includes Untold Stories DLC, so that's what makes it the gold edition. So it's Resident Evil 5 with the Untold Stories DLC, and so that normally is $30. So this is a $30 game we're giving away, so hopefully that makes up for the mess that H1Z1 is, and you can enjoy this.
Yes, and if you are listening to this after the fact, maybe you're listening on a car ride on the way home or a train, subway, whatever it may be, we are live here every Tuesday night on our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Infection Podcast. The past couple weeks, especially with this H1Z1 comment, because most of the people that are here watching the show are from the H1Z1 days. Not all of them, but most of them are from the H1Z1 days. And they feel the exact same way we do in terms of wanting the game to succeed and just being passionate about the product and what the game was supposed to be and what it was going to be. So you can join in the chat. You can win some games. You can give us your feedback. Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, twitch.tv/Infection Podcast. Hopefully you can join us for that. And to everybody here in chat, thank you for tuning in. And Firebomb's crucifying us because we told him to buy H1Z1. We told a lot of people. We sold a lot of copies of H1Z1. A lot.
Yes.
And that's just a fact.
Yep. But we sold a lot of copies of Just Survive.
Yes, we did. You're correct in that statement.
And there was never a point where we said you need to go buy H1Z1 because of the game mode that became known as King of the Kill, and now is back to H1Z1 again. We were on board. The game that we loved was H1Z1, what is kind of now H1Z1 Just Survive.
Yeah.
That was the game that we were after. It's just that one died off. You know, they had another game come in its place inside of it, and then they split it off. And, you know, now neither of those games are really the ones that we sold.
Exactly.
The game that we sold is no longer there. And I don't think them bringing back that map is going to make that game come back.
No, probably not.
So
where do we go from here? We got a whole bunch of stuff.
So one thing I want to mention, Dr. Disrespect, who like a year ago maybe a year and a half ago, I think is when I first mentioned him on the stream. I said, hey, and Nick really respected him because he actually used scenes.
I know.
He actually used
great.
Green screen. He used scenes. He used transitions. He actually, Dr. Disrespect does a lot of what Nick does on the show.
I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, and I really, I'm not trying to, but you watch this broadcast compared to a lot of other podcasts. I mean, this is a pretty top-notch production for a free podcast that we're releasing to the public. Yes, we have issues, but I mean, we do a lot here, and I can appreciate the effort into the production. I mean, most Twitch streamers are, and again, this is not a dig on Twitch streamers. Nobody please take it as that, but it's a full window game with them chroma keyed in the bottom right hand corner, and like the donation pop ups. That's great, but I like this. I like the next level. So, and that's what he did. He was next.
And so that's something. And so when I first mentioned him, I was like, hey, there's this guy called Dr. Disrespect who's been streaming H1Z1 lately. He's pretty funny. You should check him out. And Nick checked him out. He's like, yeah, he had, and that's what Nick had commented on. He appreciated the fact that this guy actually had real software and he had taken the time to make all these scenes and do all that work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And in that time, he was getting maybe 100 people in his stream at any one moment, which it's good, right? But it wasn't it wasn't a top level Twitch streamer at that point. Well, he just received this week, he got Streamer of the Year award. Whenever he streams, he gets at least 15,000 people in any one stream at any one time. And so there's a video of it. We don't have to play any audio from it, but we'll have a link in the show notes to a video of him receiving that award. And one thing I would do warn you, he is, from what I can tell, very drunk.
Very intoxicated. very, very intoxicated.
I'm surprised he held it together as much as he did. He kept on the script as far as keeping his character, which I was very surprised, being that drunk, that he was able to maintain his character the whole time. But he was pretty plastered.
Beyond plastered. I mean, he was wrecked. And I mean, and of course, I will remind you that we did have the doctor himself on this very broadcast one fine evening. So I'm just saying, I'm not trying to brag, but I'm just saying we did in fact have the Dr. Disrespect on the broadcast. So just saying.
Yeah.
Not trying to brag.
So anyways, it's 1 year later. Who would have known? 1 year later, he's Streamer of the Year.
Plastered at this event. Beyond plastered.
Yeah, plastered.
It's a good
I was
word.
watching it. I was like, oh no, this could go very, very wrong.
Yeah. This whole event, that whole event was a little odd.
Yeah. It was kind of had a lot of cringe, which, I mean, as far as Dr. Disrespect, it was like, for being as plastered as he was, like he could have said something really off the wall and crazy. Like he just wasn't his usual controlled, collected self.
No, he was highly intoxicated. Couple too many gin and tonics.
Gin and tonics too many.
Yeah.
But anyway, so there's a link to that. You're more than welcome to check it out in the show notes. We've got, trying to think of where we should go from here. There's stuff on the test server we could save until they actually release for H1Z1. I mean, do you want to do that?
Yeah, we can.
Because we talked H1Z1 to death, and so I'd rather not go back to it. Now, also there's test stuff on Just Survive, so you're more than welcome to go check that out. How about we talk about some PUBG, since
and real quick before we talk about PUBG, the song they played when they played his Gillette song. The Gillette song when he was walking. Who, by the way, I did some research today with a friend. He has never been sponsored by Gillette. They may have given him a couple razors. They never been a sponsor.
But the thing is sometimes he'll start saying a brand name and then they sponsor him after.
Yeah, well, that's a very factor. We should try that.
Like that spray. Remember that spray that I did when I was doing the show?
What spray?
Or when Doctor was on, that spray he was using.
You mean that spray?
That they yeah, exactly. So they sponsored him afterwards for a while.
Old Spice, yeah.
Yep. So he did get sponsored for a bit,
Well, I mean, I've got.
Forces his way in.
Love Totino's Party Pizzas. They're my favorite. They're the best. Reach out to me. Whoever owns, I think it's probably Procter and Gamble that owns them or somebody.
Yep. So
Thanks.
you just love the Totino's, please. We'll eat them on the show every week.
Absolutely. I eat them every week anyway. Currently not a sponsor. Hopefully we'll be a sponsor. You heard it here first. Affection Podcast, episode 147. All right, where are we going?
All right, so let's go ahead and go into some player-unknown battlegrounds, and they have these what they're calling test servers for PC 1.0 updates.
Yes.
So they did one last week. This is number 2, and this is all going towards that 1.0 release that they're going to be doing here by the end of the year.
Yeah.
So let's just kind of read. It's not super long here. Today, we would like to give an update about the test servers. Many players were disappointed that the first test server schedule was delayed last time. Right before opening the test servers, we concluded that the test build was not stable enough and decided to postpone the test. Although the current test build is not completely stable as of now, we still would like to open the test servers this week, even for a short period of time, and allow players to test the long-awaited feature, vaulting and climbing. We're planning to run test servers for the 3 days, for about 3 days this week's test, but it will be shorter because of the build's current state. So you may experience client crashes on the test server. This is normal as the build we are using for this test is not completely stable. This may not be the best condition to test all features. At this time, we ask your understanding as we continue to fix the issues. So their test schedule is November 13th, which was yesterday, and November 14th at 3 a.m. through the 15th, 3 a.m. So that's, I think, the Pacific. What's CET?
I don't know. I was looking at that. I'm not familiar with.
Yeah. So pretty much from yesterday through today at 6 p.m. So it's that in half an hour from now is when it concludes. So if you haven't been doing it, you've missed it. But they were doing NA solo, or North America solo, and Asia solo, first person / third person is what these test servers are on. So this would be an opportunity. So we'll probably see some nice YouTube videos. Maybe we'll be able to show next week of people doing the vaulting and climbing. And also they have overhauled the ballistic system.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing. As far as the ballistic system, projectiles, before they were affected by gravity and velocity was a constant. So that resulted in short travel time and low drop. Now what they're doing is affected by gravity and air resistance. Velocity drops over time. So what happens is you have a long travel time and a big drop. So if it's a long distance you're going, you have a longer drop. So it will drop off over time.
This would be more like if anybody's ever played Battlefield. When you snipe in Battlefield, if you're, you're talking a very, very far, or I should say, very, large bullet drop between, between where you shoot and where the bullet lands.
And one thing they're doing as well is they're making the guns much less accurate. So weapons are reasonably accurate up to medium range, so about 300 meters. And then after that, they're going to be inaccurate. Before, they were saying that the weapons were very accurate, aside from the submachine guns. Most weapons were very accurate, even across long distances. So you could take a gun and just hit somebody from super far away with whatever weapon you were using at the time. And so that should change. The zeroing, before it was a parameter that was used on a weapon regardless of the sight attachments. Now it actually depends on the sight that you're using. So like an iron sight versus having a actual sight on the gun, a scope, that will be different. So it's going to be per gun's changed. The reticles now have an option to where, depending on the lighting condition, you can adjust the reticle. Because it has like a glow and things like that on it. You can change that. The limbs are now different to where if you hit on the farthest extremity of like the arm, it's less damage. As you get closer to the center of the body, you get higher damage, because before, if you hit on the arms, it was just 50% damage. But now, depending on where you hit on the limb, as you get closer to the chest, you get more damaged. And also the neck. Before, if you hit somebody in the neck, the helmet did not protect against that at all. And now the helmet can protect about 25%. So if you get hit somebody in the neck, it will take off 25% of the damage from what would be considered a headshot from having that. So, and then damage modifiers, as I said, same, the damage modifiers to all hit areas for all weapons were the same. Now damage modifiers to hit areas based on weapon class or type. So there will be a big difference in the different types of weapons from here on out. They've optimized the client some. One thing is there's vehicle driving. And one thing that there's a video on here that Hot Drop had put out, the podcast, and that he recorded all of the different audio sounds for the vehicles because they changed the sounds of the driving. And we'll have a link in there if you want to check it out. It's on its YouTube channel as well. But it has all the different vehicles and all the different sounds that they make now. So you'll be able to hear that. And then I'm trying to think what else. I mean, there's just most of it after this is tweaking and changing the weapons thing.
Yeah.
If you want to turn that up, you can maybe hear a little bit. So this is the little car. He's going to switch here to the motorcycle, so you can actually hear that.
Sounds much better than it used to.
Yep. Then he's going to switch to a UAZ.
Dude, overshot that. Holy crap.
Won't give him a hard time on that.
Oh, I will.
Which has more of a SUV type of a sound.
Diesel sound, yeah.
Yep. Sounds a lot better. That little bit of deeper sound, I think, than it was before him. And then he's going to switch to one of the buggies. Okay. Which has even a different sound. I think this one has more of the sound of the car now. The buggy sound. If you, I don't know, maybe you can tell me if you hear a similar. So there's the buggy sound now.
Does it? It sounds kind of...
Doesn't it sound like the old...
It kind of sounds like a dirt... Sounds like a dirt bike.
Yeah.
A little bit.
So yeah, those are the new sounds. It's going to give you a little bit more of a realistic feel. They said that the vehicle driving balance has been modified in this. Improves some of the vehicle and passenger animations as well. But mostly that, and then the vaulting and climbing, and then the ballistics overhaul, which is still a pretty big change. It'll be interesting to see the balance of this, to see how it feels.
Absolutely. So, yeah, I mean, PUBG, they're working. I like how they're doing the test server very limited. So if you want to get into it, you needed to keep an eye on Twitter, and you had like a day to jump in.
Keep people involved, and it doesn't. People don't lose that anticipation of it.
Yeah, because the test server is always online. It's like tomorrow, tomorrow. You push off, and then the test server is gone. But one day it's okay. If I'm interested in playing, I've got to be here, on my computer playing.
Yeah,
which I like.
All right, so I think that's pretty much it for PUBG. Okay. And let's go and do the game giveaway really quick, and then we will we'll move on to another game. All right, so congratulations, Bat Chain Puller. You have won a copy. So I will send you a link for Resident Evil 5 Gold Edition. It should be in your other messages here in just a little bit. Once there's a break here in the show, I will get it sent.
Yes.
All right, so let's go and talk about
Conan.
So there's actually there's a video which kind of shows some of the new things. I mean, it's somewhat, I don't think there's really talking in it, if I remember correctly. It's mostly just music. So I don't know if you want to kind of play that while we...
Yeah, I can play that while I kind of read through here. So this is the Thralls update that they've got here, and there's a couple new things here. So they want they're essentially buffing up the inventory on the Thralls. So you'll have the inventory for that will be different. Adding a whole bunch of new building pieces. You can see some of that in the video. I'm just going to pause this here temporarily, so you can. Oh crap! I wanted to show right. I know, right there we go, right over the rock. If you've played Conan before, you can see there's a whole bunch of new building materials. There's a flame shooting, like a big bonfire shooting out. There's what looks like an elephant taxidermied on the wall, a mammoth on the wall. There's buck antlers on walls. There's exterior lighting. There's some of these weird pyramid roofs, which I don't believe were in the game earlier. They may have been.
No, I think those are new.
So the whole bunch of new building pieces on there, stairs, repair kits are now also in. So you now learn the repair kits at levels 12, 24, 36, and 48. And those are either 20, 40, 60, or 80% repaired kits. And then they're talking about you can now manage the inventories for the thralls, and you can give them... Before, they were just kind of NPCs that did their own thing. So you can now actually use the inventory on the thralls, which is it's important if you're kind of meleeing around with them. They're showing an armor patch kit now, so you can buff or repair your armor that you already have. We didn't really get into the armor a whole lot, and now the same thing with the weapons. There is weapon repair kits now, similar to like an anvil that you would see. These are individual objects that you can repair weapons with. They're talking about a new UI, some improvements in the UI, and that pretty much is that update. So this is update 31. So you can now gear up your thralls, some UI tweaks,
Give them weapons.
yeah, and obviously some cool building pieces.
Yep, very good. And I'm always glad. We'll have to see if at some point we can put up a server for that.
I think we can on Windows
At some point
server.
we can host our own. Yeah, so we'll see once we have a Windows server if they actually have the code out there for us to host it ourselves.
that
It
would-
doesn't have to be a dedicated server host.
That would be cool.
All right. So let's go and move on to Arc. This is going to be pretty quick.
Okay.
Still waiting on the new Aberration to be
Slackers.
released.
Slackers.
So this is now at least 2 weeks late. And so it should be, I mean, I paid for it. So I'm hoping that it'll be out soon. But this is 273.67. This was put out on November 8th. And so they put out a patch that says protected against an issue with recipe crafting and applied retroactive detection. And then they have 273.68 that fixed a collision issue with chairs. And that was on today, the 14th. And then they have another small patch, 273.692, fixed downloading dinos beyond a player or a tribe or player's personal tame limit. Fix an issue where you couldn't download dinos on PvE servers. So that's what they've done this week. And no word. I went searching today for anything on Aberration. Still no mention of when it's going to be released. So
Well, that
hopefully,
sucks.
hopefully soon.
I don't know.
Not frustrating.
Yeah, a little frustrating.
It's not like I'm like something's not working because I'm not having that game, but you know, you pay for it. It's supposed to be out at the end of October, and we're 2 weeks into November now, and just at least say, hey, we think it's going to be in a week. I mean, I know they want to release it and have it be, oh, it's all done, but if you're weeks behind schedule, it'd be nice if you just could mention, hey, here, we're going to be released pretty soon.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Just
just
make a comment.
it's just, in my opinion, courtesy to your players. I mean,
So,
that's all.
Hopefully soon.
Soon TM.
Now, one thing, yep. So let's go and move on to Unturned.
Okay.
And this is one where he put out 3.21.2.0, and this was 4 days ago on November 10th. He added explosive chewing gum, which I'm not 100% sure the point of explosive chewing gum.
You may
here.
be able to drop it on the ground, and it would go to another player, and it probably doesn't say that it's explosive chewing gum.
Oh, so maybe you can trick them.
I'm just assuming. We don't do any research for this show. Just totally assuming that's what it means.
And then they added Cargo Train number 2 to Yukon. They added Discord Rich Presence integration, meaning you can now create invites and see friend statuses through Discord.
Which is cool.
Yep. They added ability to load platform-specific asset bundles. So like Mac, Unity 3D, or Linux Unity 3D. They added gameplay config options to disable suicide buttons, so you can make it so people can't commit suicide. So maybe, because that kind of plays into role-playing.
Yep.
As far as being able to take somebody, put them in a jail, and make them live. So that gives that option so people can't kill themselves. Added a level config option to disable compactor. And then he just did some tweaks and fixes beyond that that were happening in the game. So one thing he did make a mention of, Unturned is in the first wave of games with Discord Rich Presence, which is a new feature on Discord. The Discord API has been integrated into the game to show friend status, send invites, and joining lobbies or servers through the Discord client. So
What is your
if you
thoughts
plan
on that?
I think that Discord is has pretty much made enough of its mark to where it's not just like, a client that people use. It's pretty much the chat client at the moment.
Yeah.
And so I think that this is nice as long as it continues to stay as usable and free as it is now.
That's a big question.
And so my worry is that they let it go to their head and then they turn around and be like, okay, well, now we got to make money off of this. And then you have all these integrations and it relies on something that then becomes a paid feature. That's my only concern with putting all your reliance into one product.
Yeah, and that's a huge problem. And I think when we'll see the issue with Discord is it's inevitable that they're going to start selling games. I mean, it's the next logical step. Everybody's using it pretty much for video games. They'll have a marketplace or something. I mean, Twitch is selling games now. It's not really a new concept. That seems to be, to me, the next logical step for Discord. And then what's going to happen is they'll be acquired by some big company that will decide to charge for it, which will be unfortunate. But we got it free for now.
Concerned about trying to integrate with these things is that then something changes and then it becomes a problem because you have to pay for that feature or something. It's halfway usable. Or something.
And I've said this before too, and I assume you still feel the same way, Brian. I wouldn't mind as the host, as if we had to pay like $5 or $10 a month as the community to have our chat room with a whole bunch of features, like a TeamSpeak monthly license.
Features for make money that way.
Yeah, charge the community, not the individual users. I mean,
that's what they're doing is letting people upgrade their individual accounts.
Yeah, if we had to drop $10 a month, I mean, you'd be talking $120 a year. I mean, for all of the use that we get out of Discord, that's just not even it's a no-brainer. It's a completely no-brainer. So if they're going to, I hope that's the way that they do it. But we'll see.
So hopefully, and this is a very new technology, so you're just going to start seeing games start to roll this out. Let's go ahead. One thing we haven't shown is with Rust, and there's actually some pretty cool things that they've added. So I don't know if you want to do the video for this one. They added some new things into Rust that really changed the look of the game. So,
oops, that was the Conan video again.
It'll be interesting to actually show this one.
Yeah, we can pull this up. So this is. Do you have the number of this update?
This is 185, devlog 185.
All right. Well, this is Rust devlog 185, of course, from our good friend Shadowfax. We haven't aired these in quite a while. We've just been getting so sidetracked.
We always running out of time, so I just want to make sure we get into this one because this is actually a pretty game changing.
Awesome. Well, we'll run that and then we'll be back.
My eyes are up here. Greetings, survivors and friends, I'm Shadowfax, and I must ask you a question. Do you like what you're seeing here? Well, take a few moments to mull it over if you like, but Rust is no longer a game populated by bald psychopaths. Now it's a game populated by hairy psychopaths, and if that fills you with dread, then you're just going to have to overcome it, because it's now a permanent feature. Sorry, I've been shaving those puns up for a while. So yes, as of this week, you will of course notice that now everyone has hair of some description or another. There are 2 styles per gender, 2 types of beards for the chaps, and everyone does of course qualify for a complete eyebrow, underarm and merkin makeover too. There was a lot of work involved in getting the hair to deform properly around clothing items and to fit everyone's noggins, but now this is more or less done. You should see a lot more styles and colours cropping up, along with, intriguingly, hair dyeing in the coming weeks. Just one thing to note, your new body foliage is best appreciated if you use the TSSAA anti-aliasing option in your graphics menu, which is now the default setting, and you might be glad to know that this technique has recently been revamped to give crisper results with less blurring in motion, but at a lower cost. Huzzah. Another important change to workbenches was introduced this week, which could really give you a leg up. Now, when you go to use one, you'll be given a new option. By spending scrap, you can experiment in order to produce a random blueprint relevant to that tier of workbench, with the cost increasing by tier accordingly. It also knows which recipes you've already unlocked, so there's no fear of wasting your precious junk on something you don't want. The reason for doing this was to give you an extra option when it comes to learning BPs, Now, you can either go down the random route of finding them in loot, the certain method of researching using an actual item, or just throw loads of scrap at the problem and get them all eventually. Helk says he's toying with the idea of making it so you can unlock blueprints in a certain order using this method, but he's not sure how people would feel about that. Personally, I think it would be a bit too linear, much like the XP system was, and I think many of us appreciate a bit of randomness in our lives, but let me know your thoughts in the comments, please. Research costs and tiers were reduced for a number of items this week, as you can see here. High velocity arrows are now a default blueprint, and you can use BPs from within a storage container. The new nail gun's nails will embed themselves in things as of this update, and you can retrieve them just like you would arrows. They also have a bit more girth, meaning it's easier to hit things. However, nail raiding is out. The damage type was changed from bullet to arrow, so they no longer knacker doors. Personally, I think they should actually heal structures. That would be interesting. Oh, and nail guns and garage doors now have new sounds. Further to the stance recoil changes that were introduced last week, these have been removed from bows and crossbows, so no more additional inaccuracy, but of course this won't automatically turn you into Lars Anderson. It was noticed that player model poses for certain weapons looked a bit tense and scrunched up around the shoulders, and these were adjusted accordingly, and graphically, occlusion culling received a big revamp, with a breakthrough being made this week that eliminates one of the biggest bottlenecks in the system. This method is responsible for hiding players and NPCs when they're behind part of the terrain and thus out of view of the player, as you can see in this image. In turn, this increases performance. However, it was possible to remove a pre-pass step in this process, and this has freed up even more CPU overhead. In addition, it makes artists' jobs more straightforward and saves on production time. An FPS boost is predicted on mid to high range machines, but potatoes and other vegetable-based PCs are probably bottlenecked somewhere else anyway and won't notice much difference. So, sorry. Over to works in progress now, and new FX sprites are still being made via Houdini. As I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, the launch site is having a slight makeover, namely the layout of the main factory buildings being remodeled into a more PvP focused area. This means simpler jump puzzles, cover on walkways, hanging ones to allow you to get from one side to the other, and some of the lifts being replaced by stairways. In addition to this, there'll be 2 more routes to the roof on the back and front of the building, making it harder to defend, but by the same token, radiation levels might be scaled back slightly. These changes are currently slated to happen in next week's patch. It turns out there was enough demand for Admire animations to make them a worthwhile thing to work on, so yes, it looks like this will now be a thing in the not too distant future. And lastly, a big change to building is coming. It's been on the roadmap for a while, but now we have more information, and this is going to be, as they say, a game changer. Once implemented, a building privilege zone will no longer be enforced in a radius around a tool cupboard. Instead, it'll be emitted by the building blocks themselves. Tool cupboards will still be used, but there may be a limit of 1 per building. Upkeep is another big change that means bases will need to be topped up with resources that will then be consumed over time, and according to the roadmap, this will be of most concern to large buildings, and if not met, they will decay rapidly. As well as this, you may be overjoyed to know that more building options are going to be explored, such as half-height walls for one. More info on this next week, but what do you think? Let me know in the comments, please. Please like and subscribe if you appreciated this vid. Come and join me also on Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, and my Steam group. I shall, of course, catch you all rather soon, but in the meantime, keep calm and stay rusty. Cheerio.
All right, and as always, we thank Shadowfrax for that update. That nail gun is super freaking cool.
Yeah.
That's really, really cool. I love that.
And also, like, seeing some of those buildings they have in there, like, I don't remember seeing any of that.
No, we do need to play. We do need to play that again.
We never get far enough in Rust to actually.
We just get killed by a bunch of meanie heads.
I wonder if we should almost just do a private one and play and like actually play the game a little bit.
That would be a great use for our server.
We've never actually gotten anywhere.
No, that would be a great use for our server.
Because we keep playing Rust, it's like, oh, we never can build anything because we just die constantly.
I know. There's one guy just is
and it seems like there's so much into that game.
There's a whole bunch of stuff to do. Yeah, that should be one of the first things.
I want to run out and explore it because I see all these things in his videos and on screenshots. And it's like, oh, there's these cool zones. And I feel like we just run around the same area getting shot.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
All right. So let's go ahead and move on to Miscreated, because they put out one of their big patches.
Yes,
And there's
sir.
actually some pretty cool things in this patch.
We need to. This will
is
be a game
update-
coming up as well soon.
Yes. This is update number 54. One of the biggest things is they have added metal base parts.
Oh yeah.
So now these randomly spawn over time around the game world, the base parts, and it's a lot harder to destroy these than the wood ones or plated counterparts. One thing you'll notice in the wood ones is you can run around, and if you had an axe, you could pretty much raid someone's base at a very low level. So now they'll have the metal base parts. They are very heavy and can only be towed back to your base using a vehicle that is capable of towing. So it becomes a decent process trying to get these back. They added towing features to the vehicles. So most vehicles now have the ability to support towing metal parts. It says in this update, towing only works for towing metal base parts. Additional uses for towing will be added in future updates. A tow capable vehicle must have a tow cable item in its inventory in order to tow. It says the action menu will allow you to attach a metal part or detach a currently attached part. As far as the game, they did a lot of fixes for the base building. They did a number of fixes in the game. One thing I was disappointed to see is pigs now drop ham meat that can be cooked or cured. So for pigs, roosters will now drop chicken meat that can be cooked. And so those actually have a harvest feature now. The world now that says the world tent limit has been increased to 20 tents. So you can have 20 tents around the world. Tents no longer respawn instantly on server start. So players with the pack tent will now have some time to place it. Tents no longer instantly respawn in the world when one is destroyed. They will spawn back over a random amount of time. And then, they did fixes for animations. They did fixes on the maps, to the AI, to the UI. So this is a nice overall. But I think the biggest thing is going to be the variations in the base building, which has been a big complaint over time, is that there aren't good options for base building because anything can be raided very quickly. So I think this is going to really help with letting you make a base that actually will be able to protect some things. I think the next thing they really need to work on is the storage in the base.
I know.
But,
Holy crap.
I think this is a nice first step. Hopefully that's in the next patch.
Storage. It's all about storage. We have never been able to get into that game because we can never store any of the stuff we find.
We can't save enough.
No, I mean, see, the problem with us,
rated, like no matter what, like you can protect it.
Well, that's true. But see, the biggest issue is that when we play this game, we roll in with a group of like 6 to 10 or 12 people, and I mean, you literally have like 8 slots to store stuff in the base. It's a very, very limited.
Yeah. I mean, you can hardly store anything, so there's not really a point to the base. If they made it to where there was a decent amount of storage or something in the base that was worth protecting, then it would make a difference.
When we play, we typically find a bus, fix it up, and then just
we drive around in the party bus.
All we do is, as we are driving around, people are dying, and we're going to pick people up. So the entire time we just go from somebody dying, driving over to pick them up, then somebody over there dies, drive over there to pick them up. It's a lot of fun. We really, really enjoy it.
So we never have a base that's like, here's where, it's never there when we log in.
No, but it's fun. We fix up a vehicle, have a good time, play with Troll, drive around. It's good. It's a really good time. Crash the bus, get it stuck. Just a gem.
Yeah, you wedge it up onto a fence.
Find AFK players and kill them and take all their stuff.
Yep.
It's just
it's good times.
It's always a good time playing Miscreated. If you haven't played, Miscreated was on sale a couple weeks ago. It's a must buy. You have to add it to your wishes. You're not going to play it all the time. You may not play it frequently at all. When you play it, though, you'll have a really good time, especially if you play with us. I can't speak for other groups, but if you play this game with us, you'll have a really good time.
It's always an adventure.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. We have a great time every time we play it. And we've had the developers on the show. They're super cool. They I mean, they it's a small group of people. They like their product. They in my opinion, they make a pretty decent product. There's a whole bunch of issues with it, but they make a good product. And
but I mean, they're working on it over time. Like the base building has been a big issue. That was the focus of this patch. If they could do storage in the next one, and then just keep on tackling an issue in each of these patches,
Yeah.
they can make it to where it's worth, definitely worth playing. So somebody's saying, Bat Change Player is saying it's 50% off right now. So
Yeah.
if you go in there, it's only $9.99. It's definitely worth $9.99. Especially if you can get in on a couple of our game nights doing it, playing with some people. So
Yeah, and I mean,
very good.
With a lot of these early access games, it's you understand. Well, at least I understand. I'm not going to be playing it, constantly. It's something I play every once in a while. Have a good time. I've gotten $9 worth of fun out of Miscreated for sure.
Yep.
For
yeah,
sure.
and the most fun part's getting in a huge vehicle.
Yeah.
And then, as Musty says, trying to go up a small hill with one wheel blown out. Like we have
God, I
3
remember
wheels.
that. Yeah, we're trying to leave the airport. We had one working wheel, and we just tried to get up that hill, and then we just rolled all the way back down.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was hilarious.
Yeah.
So,
and that's just
all
what
right.
makes
Just
those
remember
games
this week.
awesome.
This week we're going to be doing Heroes and Generals. I would really encourage you to try it out. It is a lot of fun. If we get a nice, and what's most fun about it is getting a lot of people, getting the whole group together, because it's just fun to work together. It's a game that's very cooperative, as far as you stick together and you try to capture points and do all these different things. So it is very fun to play. So hopefully we can get a full team out here on Friday. All right, so let's go ahead and do we want to do the second game giveaway? Are we
Sir,
to that point?
I think so.
All right. Exclamation point giveaway in chat. I always have to think when I'm doing it because I'm typing the word as I'm saying it. And who knows, all kinds of things could be typed. All right, so let's go ahead and we'll be giving away a copy of Shadow Tactics, Blades of the Shogun. And this, if I remember correctly, is actually a pretty expensive game. This is a $40 game.
Wow.
So it's Shadow Tactics, Blades of the Trojan, or was it Shogun? Whatever.
Same
Shadow Tactics,
same difference.
Blades of the Shogun. Yeah, one's in Asia, one's over in Europe. Whatever. Close enough. And this is a stealth tactical ninja strategy action RTS. It's overwhelmingly positive on recent reviews, overwhelmingly positive on all reviews. So if that tells you anything about it, if you're into that style of game, I'll put a link to the Steam page. This is one that I actually purchased and I didn't redeem for myself just because it's not the style of game that I play, but there are a lot of people who play this type of a game. For instance, Lance has this as one of the games he wants. He marked it as a game he wants. Is he here? We'll find out.
And if you have a problem with what Brian said, you can send all negative feedback to brian@infectionpodcast.com.
Hey, just saying, there's people here who have this on their wish list. And
I'm sure he's not
here at
here.
the live show. He was here earlier, but he probably has walked away.
That's good. Hopefully,
He'll be
somebody
kicking himself because this is a $40 game.
I hope somebody else wins
right now. Yep.
Well, we're kind of talking about stuff. Well, obviously, we'll get into the current players and then the tip of the week. We do have a PS4 community. It's called Infection Podcast. It's got our logo on it. And if you're a PlayStation fan, if you're a PlayStation guy or gal, we are playing Call of Duty on it. There is a new zombie game, though, coming out exclusively for the PS4 here soon, which I'm planning on maybe getting a copy of to try that out. So if you're a PlayStation person, search the Infection Podcast community, join it, and even if you just want to come and kind of hang out when we're playing Call of Duty, which literally I have played, I think, and maybe you too have played every day since it came out. I mean, we've played every night.
Yeah. So my fingers hurt.
Yeah. Well, you gotta grind away at the Call of Duty. So if you're interested in playing that or on another game on PS3 or PS4, go ahead. Or, no, not PS4, PS3, PS4. Join our Infection Podcast community. It's got our logo on it. There's a cool picture of like a Jeep as the cover art, so you can go ahead and join that.
Very good. All right. And one thing, as we mentioned at the beginning of the show, we have ordered the server, so that'll be something we'll be mentioning. And thank you for all that did donate for that. We definitely appreciate it. And it's something that I think the community will get a lot of use out of. And we got, I think, for the money, we got a very good server.
Yes.
So I don't think we could have gotten any better of a deal than what we got on now.
No, absolutely. And the community support has just been, fantastic. This is the second time that we've done a crowdsourced campaign. We did it with PAX East that took place in March of this year. Crazy that feels like that was a long time ago, but it was March of this year only. I mean, it really wasn't that long ago. And then this, and then hopefully we'll be able to have the opportunity to do that for PAX 2018 coming up out in Seattle for next year. So again, thanks to everybody that has helped us, either helped us with the PAX trip, helped us with the server fund, or who may be helping us with some of the stuff in the future. We absolutely appreciate it. 100%.
Yes.
All right. Well, Brian, I'm going to be honest with you. I've been slacking on current players. The shows have been very weird the past past month. We've been doing a lot of more kind of open discussion, open commentary, and there hasn't been as much of normally I do the current player numbers when you're talking about games like Ark, or in this case Miscreated. You'll read through the list and I have a chance to compile some of the numbers, but that really hasn't been the case the past few weeks. So I've been kind of slacking on current players. Ladies and gentlemen, I do apologize. And I mean, no more. This crap's got to stop.
We're done.
Yeah, it's done. I mean, it's just, this garbage is over with. So we will jump into current players right now. Currently playing H1Z1 King of the Kill. I refuse to update the logo on this graphic. 9,362. The 24-hour peak, 24,853, with a 70 peak of 37,748. Moving over to Ark Survival Evolved. Currently playing this game, 27,541. The 24-hour peak, 40,321, and a 7-day peak, 56,114. Unturned, a crazy amount of people still playing this free-to-play game. 10,600 currently playing it. The 24-hour peak, 18,035, with a 7-day peak of 27,754. Conan Exiles, it's hurting, folks. It's not a surprise. It's hurting right now. Currently playing this game, 1,918. The 24-hour peak, 2,496, with a 7-day peak of the same number, 2,469. Actually, those are two different numbers. And then Miscreated, which for some reason my graphic disappeared, but I do have the numbers for. Currently playing this game, 690. The 24-hour peak, 1,174, with a 7-day peak of 1,174 as well. Moving over to PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. Currently playing this game, 445,075. The 24-hour peak, 2.5 million to be exact, 2,522,283, with a 7-day peak. It's about 100,000 higher than last week, 2,641,811. We're heading towards 3 million.
Yep, getting there.
Sorry about that
It'd be interesting to
miscreated
see,
graphic. I
especially
don't know
if
what
this-
happened. Lost my graphic.
With this 1.0 release, we'll see if that increases the numbers. Like, I don't know if the community that's getting into this, if like they really care. Like, I don't know where all these viewers are, where all these numbers are coming from. Like, what's bringing them to the game?
Couldn't tell you. The
Like,
hype. I mean,
what are they seeing?
It's just hype, Brian. I mean, you can't go on Reddit or you can't go on YouTube. I mentioned this a couple months ago. Somebody sent me a screenshot of a vlogger in his vlog, like, and his kids were playing it in the background. And it was like, you cannot get away from this game. Everybody is playing it. So it's just, I mean, it's just growing like crazy.
Now, a lot of the streamers, you see a lot of streamers playing Fortnite lately.
Yes.
It'll be interesting to see how that balances out, because it seems like people kind of follow the streamers a lot.
Well, they do, yeah. The trendsetters.
I think that the streamers like the versatility that is in Fortnite, because in Fortnite, you have the ability to kind of build things and use it as protection and come up with really creative ways to, it's not all about just out shooting the person or trying to avoid, not getting shot. It seems like with Fortnite, it has an extra element to it that I think the streamers appreciate. Now, is that long term? Like, will it wear off and then people will go back or switch to another game? I'm not sure yet, and I don't know if it's really pulling people away, because as you see, those numbers keep going up. Both those games have a lot of players, huge amount of players for both games. I don't know that one is really pulling away from the other in a significant enough way to affect it. So
Yeah.
I will be curious over the next couple months to see how that plays out. If kind of like with H1Z1, how it gravitated towards PUBG, when everybody's kind of left. How are they going to be doing side by side? Is one going to go enough of its own way and do its own thing, and the other goes its own way, and they're not really compete with each other? Because I don't think they have to compete. I think they're different enough to where either you like the one style of game or you like the other style of game.
Yeah, I would
like cartoony look, or you like the more realistic.
I would agree with you 100%. Yeah, they are two very different games. I mean, they're similar in the concept, but they are two very different feels, two very different play styles. I think two different audiences too. It's just different. PUBG, Fortnite seems like and I haven't played it enough to make. Maybe I'm incorrect in this. Fortnite seems a little more casual, a little more arcadey. PUBG's, I mean, just graphic wise, it's a little more serious, a little grungy, a little more hardcore. I mean, I don't know. Take that for what it's worth, but that's just my 2 cents on it.
I mean, I didn't mind playing Fortnite, but it just wasn't something. It wasn't my style of game.
Yeah,
I'd rather play PUBG.
Then there you go.
You'll have plenty of people that are that way, so it's not like everybody's going to jump ship
for sure.
So, all right, very good. So let's go ahead and roll into tip of the week. Tip of the week's where either I talk about a general gaming tip or for a specific game. This week will be about PUBG. So this is tip of the week. All right, so for PUBG, I know a lot of times you see these loot crates, these airdrops that are falling, and maybe you wonder what are the things that are in that I want to go find. So actually, I'm doing one here where I list off the different items that you're able to get inside of those airdrops. The AWM sniper rifle. You have the M24, which is a pretty heavy duty machine gun. MK14 EBR. M249, the Kar 98K, another sniper rifle, OTS 14, the Graza, and the Tommy gun. A lot of these guns you don't find very often in the world. They're pretty rare in the world. You will see the Tommy gun every once in a while, but these are guns that are pretty rare to find. So you'll have the highest percentage chance, if you want to find these, of finding them in the airdrops. And then you have some scopes. You have the 4X scope, the 8X, the 15X that you can find. Now on these, some of the I think the 12X and the 15X, you now can use the scroll mouse in this upcoming test. You have the scroll mouse that you can use to actually adjust the amount of zoom that you can use inside of those 12X and 15X. So it doesn't have to always be the set one. You can use your scroll mouse to go in and out farther. Then they have the assault rifle suppressor, the sniper suppressor, the ghillie suit, the Spetsnaz helmet, which is the level 3 helmet, the military vest, which is level 3, the backpack for level 3, the adrenaline syringe, and the med kits are in there. So those are the items that you'll find. But as I said, most of those guns, you don't find the AWM around the world generally. The M24 is very rare. And then like the Tommy gun was one that originally was very rare, but they have started to make it more common. And I think they reduced the amount of bullets that it holds to kind of nerf it a little bit. So if you're going around, if you have no interest, if you're not a sniper or you're not looking for a super heavy duty weapon, you enjoy your general weapons, most of the rest of the equipment that you'll find in those airdrops are not things that you can't find around the world. Like you will be able to find the assault rifle suppressors, sniper suppressors around the world. You generally won't find a ghillie suit, but the rest of that gear is all around the world. So you may want to make that decision. Are those worth it for me to go in there and put myself at risk? Or am I just going to keep looting and doing my own thing? So hopefully that helps you when you're looking at those airdrops. Say, hey, do I even want any of those? But that is tip of the week.
And there we go. Thank you very much, Brian. Got a comment. What happened to your pig painting in the background?
So my wife painted that pig painting, and she decided that, well, for her new office, because she has an office now at her work, She wanted to have the pig painting in there. So this is actually a painting that I did about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, I think.
Very impressive.
So I painted that.
Looks
And
good.
So it's up there. It's for the people that are listening, it is an elk in the forest looking out, and you can just see its outline with the shadow looking out at you from the forest. So
She decided you weren't worthy of the pig painting anymore. I would love.
she.
I would love for you to switch that painting up every couple of weeks. I mean, I'm sure you're not.
I have a stack of them.
Oh, do you really?
Yeah, I've got one right there. I've got one right here.
Oh, yeah.
I've got one right here.
Oh yeah.
Got one out in the hall.
I think every couple of weeks, just like once a month, like a new painting. But whoa, look at that! And then you can make a new segment, painting of the month, the week, whatever.
I
whatever
have
it
to
is.
get more paintings so I can keep mixing them up.
You better get some canvas material or get a really high resolution printer, and then it's far enough away you could just print something out.
Like, hey, look at that one I did.
Yeah,
It's far enough away.
we'll have to do a fine inspection on it, make sure that canvas is real.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll be like, hey, I found this one on Google Images.
Canvas Direct, which not an advertiser of the show, use them for
Not a sponsor.
very cheap canvases at Canvas Direct. I believe that was the name of the company. So you could absolutely get some very cheap canvases printed out.
Cool. Well, yeah. So I can swap some of these out. We got some pretty interesting paintings. So then maybe it'll give Laura and I a reason to go do a date night.
The outline reminds me of the H1Z1 Players in the Distance. That's just
Yes.
very romantic.
Yeah. The black blobs. The black blobs.
Yeah, just an outline. No
Used to
detail.
be.
Just
Yep. Once you're a certain distance away, it's just a black thing out there.
yeah, it's fantastic. Just a line, a couple pixels. All right,
Yep.
we gotta. We're out of control. We gotta wrap this thing.
All
up.
right. So let's go ahead and roll for this last
Yep.
one. All right. Congratulations, Bogey 14.
Oh,
Bogey
yeah.
14, you have one. I will send you a message. It'll be in your other messages. So if you're looking, there's an other messages in your messages in Twitch, and it will be there just a little bit after the show. So I'll send it out there as soon as this is done. All right.
There we go.
Is there anything else we wanted to discuss before we roll it out?
Game of the week, Heroes and Generals. We got the server. Thanks everybody. Join our Discord, our
The one
PS4
thing-
community.
We can actually mention there's a humble care package, and I don't know if you're going to go for this. I would encourage you to go to our website and click the link for under support us. There's a link to Humble Bundle, but they have this new care package, which if you pay $30, it has a whole huge list of games. I have most of the games already, but if you don't have a lot of these games, you might find it interesting to go check it out. But they got Shadowrun, Magica, The Park, Psychonauts, just pretty big list of games that people might find interesting. So if you're going to do that, because that's one thing that we do get a percentage of that from your donation or from what you give to Humble Bundle, and we're going to be using a lot of those funds to help fund our trip to PAX. So I'd encourage you, if you're going to be doing something like this, help support us on the show, and then that way we will we'll be able to afford to go. How about that?
Yeah, please.
All right. So do we want to? I can't think of anything else that we need to speak about. So just as you said, Heroes and Generals, we'll roll into that. If you want to find me at Boise Computer on Twitter, and of course, if you see something throughout the week that maybe you're like, hey, they should be talking about this, we have on our Discord a channel for news that we look over before the show, and that really helps. Because we see those. Sometimes you'll mention it maybe during the live show, or they'll mention it just in general chat. And it's hard to retain all that stuff throughout the week. So if you put it in news, we look that over and we pull things from that when we talk about things on the show, and it really helps us out. Also, if you're looking for people to game with, I know a lot of people have been playing WoW this week, and people are looking to play WoW throughout the expansion. So if you play WoW, we have a lot of people playing Call of Duty World War II. Thanks. We have a lot of people playing,
Sorry,
Call of-
didn't mean to play. Sorry.
Yeah. Call of Duty World War II. Just whatever game you're into, I encourage you, if you have an opportunity to come into our community of players and play a game with us, to do it. We have a really fun group of people to play with, and and if you can support, just even with showing up and being a part of the community, that's very valuable to us.
Absolutely. It means, honest to God, it means I love the group of people we've assembled. I mean, really do. It's a genuine group of people.
Yep. And so if you,
Except for a couple
if you guys, if you're like, hey, I play this game, you know, I encourage you, even if you just join our Discord, maybe jump into a channel or mention that you're playing that game. Because we may have, a lot of times we'll have 60 plus 80 people in our Discord. You know, just mention that you are interested in a certain game. You might instantly have some people that also play that game that'll join you, because we have a very diverse set of people that play.
Oh, and here's another quick thing.
So,
Just kind of a disclaimer. If you're playing a game by yourself, jump into a channel, because once it rains, it pours. And like once one person starts playing a game, somebody else jumps in, and the next thing you know, there's like, I look at Discord yesterday, there's 6 people playing WoW. That's how it works, because one person initiated the play, and now there's a whole group playing. So I'm just saying, if you're in the thing and you're playing by yourself, saying, "Oh, I'm gonna wait for somebody else to hop in," now take the initiative, jump in a channel, ask in chat, "Hey, you know, somebody want to play this?" Somebody will most likely respond to you and jump into game. So that's just kind of my Nick's PSA of the week.
very
By
good.
the way, next week
I think
I was requested from. It was a request from. I'm requesting through me. Somebody told me this. Then you need a Call of Duty tip for next week.
oh
You better be thinking.
man, the whole thing is new to me, so
I'm
you'll be
fully
like,
aware.
That's the stupidest.
I'm fully aware. Yeah.
So I have learned that there is a ranking system for groups, or as far as like when you queue in. Like when I queue in, I queue up in
Oh, yes.
much lower groups than what you queue in. So when I grew up with Nick, like there's people that are flying around corners, doing ridiculous, stupid shots. Like
I mean,
the
I'm very
second
good
they
at the
come around,
game.
They've got.
I'm pretty good at the game.
That's what I'm saying is like the people, like they're doing these, they're dropping to the ground whenever they hear a
Drop shot.
landmine. They've got
Yeah.
yeah, all this stuff that I've never even heard of in my life. And so whenever I group up with Nick, I go in there and I die like 11 times to maybe getting a kill. And then I go in my own group and I'm in the top 3 players. So they group you by skill level, which drives me crazy every time I go in to play with Nick, because I just get killed before I even see the person coming into the room. Like somehow they start shooting me before they come around the corner, it feels like. So
Get good.
lovely.
That's all I can say.
Yeah.
Alrighty,
Yeah,
Brian.
that's what I'm
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hopefully we'll see you all at Friday night game night.
Yes, and I streamed it last week, and we had a decent turnout. So somebody, folks, this is how it works. Somebody asked me, I don't remember the name, I apologize. Somebody asked me in Discord, I'm getting out of work late, I'm on the West Coast, can you stream Game of the Week? I was like, yeah, whatever. So, I mean, we didn't, unfortunately, I streamed the loading screen for a very large portion of the stream, but I did stream it. So, I mean, maybe if somebody wants it, I may stream it again this week. Yeah, Friday night, new time, 8 p.m. Eastern, starting an hour early to accommodate people in other lands across the world. It was a train wreck. That's a fact. So,
But we had fun talking about it during when it was all happening. We're just all talking smack back and forth and just gabbing. I mean, we had an hour to sit there and talk while we waited for Q.
that's a fact.
So it worked out pretty well.
Oh, yeah, it did work out. All right. Well, Brian, again, thank you so much, and thanks everybody. We have lots of active people in the chat tonight. I appreciate everybody coming in. Again, if you are interested in tuning in live, we are here every Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern on our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Infection Podcast. If you missed any portion of the broadcast, you can head on over to our website, infectionpodcast.com. We got full show notes, audio and video, YouTube video, RSS audio. You can check out any portion of the show. You can hop around. You can do all that cool stuff. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for another episode of Infection, the Survival Podcast, episode number 148 here. You can follow me on Twitter at Nicholas M. Craig. You can check out our website, infectionpodcast.com. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week.